Andrew Mack here with MMA Island. Today I'm with Cage Titans Lightweight Champion and Tough Season 27 finalist, Joe Giannetti. Joe, how are you doing?
Good. How you doing today?
I'm good. So it's fight week. You got your welterweight bout against Trevor Goody at the end of this week. Today's Wednesday. You got Wednesday. 3 days. How are you feeling?
I feel great. It's nice having a fight week where I'm still able to eat good. With the last few cuts, I've kind of been trying to narrow down my fight week diet so that I'm energized but still losing weight. And being at welterweight, it's even that much easier. So it's really nice having tons of energy and still training super hard on fight week.
So the last time you fought at welterweight was 2017. Is that correct?
Yep.
So since then, is there anything that you did to make your are you cutting? What's your walking weight?
So normally when I'm starting a fight camp, I'm like 180, 185. And as soon as my last fight ended, because I was cutting down to 55, but the fight, new opponent on fight week changed to 65. After that fight, I was only like 172. So I bulked up because I knew I wanted this fight. So I bulked up as soon as that fight was over. So like 3 days later, I was like 188. So I was walking around at 88. Right now, I'm like 78. So it's really good. I feel good, strong. And because I've been heavier for a little bit longer this time, I'm used to carrying the weight. I feel fast. I don't feel slow. So it's been nice.
So how's your nutrition changed from if you were going to 155?
It's just about eating more. I'm still eating clean. A lot of red meat, but it's just eating more. Instead of doing 4 ounces of steak or 4 ounces of chicken, I could do like 6 to 8 ounces. And then the biggest thing about taking this fight, because I wasn't really sure if I wanted to fight again this summer, was I was in AKA for half of this summer and all of last summer. So fighting at 170, I'm able to actually have a normal life, go to family barbecues, have a burger if I want one, not eating too bad, but, living normal. So it's like mentally, it's a good reset. But my diet's been really good. It's just about eating a little bit more of clean food.
So you mentioned the AKA. So your coach on the Ultimate Fighter was Daniel Cormier. Can you talk about that relationship post Ultimate Fighter and the camps you've been doing there and all that stuff?
It's been awesome. I mean, he stayed in touch with me from the day after I left the show. They invited me out to AKA for the finale. I didn't end up training there, wish I did. But now I'm doing my camps out there, and as people could see in my fights, I'm feeling really good. My confidence is through the roof, training with the best guys in the world. But DC is awesome. He always invites me over to his wrestling academy, and I'm planning on making a longer stay over there next time, and spending more time at his wrestling academy, I should say. But yeah, he's been really cool. He's always trying to help, always staying in touch. It was a great experience overall, just for my career in general. Even though I didn't win the finale, it was a great contact to get out of the show.
So what do you think the biggest benefit of training at AKA is for you?
I think it just helps my confidence. I know that nobody's working harder than us, and I'm working with the best guys on the planet. Some guys, they train, I'm not saying that other gyms aren't good, but they train with some of the best guys. I'm training with literally the best guys in my weight class. You got Khabib, you got his cousin Usman, you got all these guys. We got some of the best welterweights. We got all these different weight classes, and I get to work with the best guys that are smaller than me and bigger than me. So I get all different types of looks. And my confidence has just been through the roof.
So your other gym is BTT Taunton, right?
Yep.
And you're teaching there as well?
I teach MMA class. Yep. It's another great gym. I moved there about almost 2 years ago now, and their jiu-jitsu is just through the roof. More and more fighters locally have been coming by and working with us. And I tell everybody, I'm not just gassing them up because I train there. They kick my ass every day. That's why I like it. And these are guys and girls that aren't fighters. They just do jiu-jitsu. So it's their sole training is jiu-jitsu. So, you take the gloves off, you take the punches out, and you break it down to just jiu-jitsu. It's they're so much better than me. It forces me to get better.
So people say that to be a fighter, you have to be very selfish. Everything needs to be focused on you for your camp. But as a coach, you need to be selfless, focusing everything else on your fighters. So can you talk about the balance between being a coach and being a fighter?
It's been a hard 50-50. It's funny you say that because that's something that we had to really focus on for this camp. So basically, nights that I'm running MMA classes, I'll take the first half of the class, and I'm just a teacher. I'm helping out anybody with whatever they need. And then the second half of the class, I'll tell them that we're either going live in certain positions or we're going fully sparring. And during that time, I'll get my mitt work or I'll jump in and spar with everybody. So we found our middle ground, and I think it's worked out really well. We've been able to teach a lot of guys. We've got Jaden Curley making his amateur MMA debut on Saturday night. So it was really cool getting to teach him and getting ready for my own fight. It's been a cool experience.
Awesome. So after your last fight with Marcus, on the replay that Cage Titans posted, Trevor Goody posted it in the comments. Looks like he needs to fight someone who's not such a fucking joke on the ground. And you replied, run it. So if he didn't call you out that time, would you still have gone to welterweight?
I would have gone to welterweight to try and make the fight with him, even if he didn't call me out, just because his last win is over one of my coaches and a super close friend of mine. So it's just one of those things, kind of personal for me. I really don't think Trevor's that great. I think he has some dangerous skills, and I think his length and his height are his biggest thing. My coach hasn't fought in 10 years, and he comes back and he picks not an easy fight with Trevor. And, Trevor kind of just made it seem like, he just beat one of the best ever, and he's like the king of it all. And it's really weird you're going to call out a 55er, but, there's just a couple things that he said that, like, all right, it's going to look that much worse when I beat him.
So I think you told White Belt that you need to fight emotional and you suck when you don't fight emotional. So what's the process of getting to the mentality? Do you have like a dartboard with his face on it or something?
No, it's just like pretty much anything that's like bad, like, not so much even bad, but just anything that I'm not satisfied in my life, either financially or, I live in an apartment. I want to live in a house one day. I'm not there yet. I pin that on my opponent. Like, they're in the way of stopping me of getting what I want. I want to be back in the UFC. I want to eventually have my own house. I want to have financial freedom and not be in debt. And, winning these fights is another step getting closer to those things. And my opponents get in the way. So, when they sign the contract, I just put a face to that opponent and I pin it all on them. I lose this fight. I don't get in the UFC. I don't get closer to have my own house. I don't get closer to financial freedom. So it's on him that he's trying to take that stuff away from me. And that pisses me off.
Does that mentality ever get tiring at all?
100%. And I used to think it was a bad thing, which is why, some of my losses, I was trying not to fight emotional, and I went out there and I didn't do so good. I was kind of like lackadaisical. I sucked. But it's funny. I actually saw a video. I reposted it from Dominic Cruz, and he was talking about like, being a fighter and a martial artist, you have to kind of like dip into that yin and yang, like that light side and that dark side, and know when to use it. Like, you're not fighting like it's okay to be a good person and not be angry and like let things go. But come fight night, you kind of have to like dip into that, like that dark area where it's like, no, I'm hateful and I'm angry and I have to hurt this guy. Because if you go in there not trying to hurt people, you're going to get hurt. And there's plenty of fighters towards the end of the career that get like that. They don't want to hurt people anymore. And then they go out there and their performances just kind of tank.
So if you beat Trevor, you'd be the first Cage Titans champ. What would that mean for you?
It'd mean everything. It'd be awesome. Cage Titans informed me last year that I was the first one to win their amateur title and then their pro title at the same weight. So them being the first one to be champ would be really cool. I think it'd be a great way to close out the show at Cage Titans and get my step back to the UFC and kind of leave my legacy at Memorial Hall.
So if you become the champ, what's your plan on defending the belts? Are you going to hop back and forth or only defend one? You move on to big leagues?
First thing, I would probably go back to 55 and defend that one first. If we can find a 55er that'll fight me, that's another big reason why I'm fighting at 170. We got all these rankings coming out from different people, and I'm not at the top of any of them, but all the guys on the list have literally said no to me. So I don't get what that's about. But yeah, I mean, if we find 55ers that are worthy and willing to fight, then we'll do that. If not, then we'll fight at 70 and defend the belt, or the UFC calls. Who knows?
Does it ever frustrate you when people just don't want to fight you and you can't find the fight?
It only frustrates me when I end up not fighting on that card, or when people start talking about like other guys that like, oh, so-and-so should go to the UFC, when they're just fighting like 0-7 guys or like 1-15 guys. It's just like, I'm not hating on them, especially when they're early on in their career, because that's just how the game is. But it's like, you would be saying that about me if you could watch me display my skills, but I can't, because all these guys that say they should be in the UFC won't fight me. So it gets frustrating when like talks of the bigger promotions come about. But other than that, I just try to focus on like my training, because if I've had so many guys either just duck me or say yes and then not sign the contract, that I would lose my mind if I focused on it too much.
So I forgot who you're talking to, but it was another interview, and you talked about I think it was with me, with the post-fight interview at the last event, that you stop having the mentality of, oh, I need to get to the UFC, oh, I need to get to the UFC, and having the mentality of, oh, I just need to get better. How has that changed your career and just how you approach things?
It's changed everything for the better. And I mean, it's a lot less taxing. Every day I used to wake up like, all right, I got to do this, this, and this to win this fight and make it a good performance and finish him this way. And then I'll get back to the UFC. And it becomes mentally taxing and stressful because every day that, you win a fight and you don't get the call, it's like, it feels negative. You're like, okay, I did a good thing, but I'm not back yet. Am I doing the right thing? Even though we all know I am. Whereas now it's like, it comes when it comes, but I know as long as I'm getting better every day, I'm getting closer to that. And whether, if I win this fight and they don't call me, I just beat somebody. I beat one of the tallest welterweights I've ever even heard of. That's a positive. I've gotten so much better throughout this camp. That's a positive. There's really no negatives anymore when I'm winning. Just makes it easier to be at a peace of mind.
So we're just going to go down a list of favorites. If you want to elaborate on any of them, you can elaborate. If you just want to give the favorite, you can give the favorite, okay?
Yep.
So what a fight on this card are you most excited for besides your own?
Besides my own? Honestly, I'd have to say either Jaden Curley's amateur MMA debut, I might be biased, or Lionel Boogs and Will Smith. I know Will Smith took the fight last minute because Bruno just got hurt, but I think it's a really interesting matchup that a lot of people aren't talking about yet.
So for these events, when you're the main event, do you watch every single fight up to yours, or you only watch a couple, the ones you're interested in?
I watch most of them. I'm not really like staring at the TV. I'm usually just like joking around with everybody in the back room. But, in that downtime when I'm bored, yeah, I watch most of the fights. Kind of just gets me excited. And it's funny because like it almost brings me another sense of confidence seeing guys, especially guys that like, even we're not super close friends, but like I know them. Somebody will be like 30, 31 making their amateur debut, or they'll be like 29, 30 making their pro debut. And it's like, I always sit back and remember, I'm like, oh yeah, I've been a pro since I was 21. Like I've been doing this for so long, and I'm watching somebody having their pro debut at 10 years older and they do great. I can do this.
Who's your favorite big league fighter?
Favorite big league fighter? I know he's retired now, or at least not in the UFC anymore. Anderson Silva, for sure.
And about your favorite regional fighter besides yourself, of course?
Johnny Cupcakes Gamble, 100%.
Favorite submission?
Oh, that's a good one. Honestly, I know I haven't hit it in a while, and everybody always thinks the guillotine. I think the triangle is my favorite. It's just something satisfying about getting your legs locked up, and like there's so much control in the position, and like everybody can hit it from white belts to black belts. Yeah, definitely a triangle.
On that same note, I was watching an interview with Trevor. He says he wants to hit a twister on you or sometime in his event or his career. Do you think that's possible?
If Trevor hits a twister on me, I'll retire from MMA. There's no chance that a twister's even coming close. The other thing too is like, when you're hitting a twister, you got to be good at riding legs. And granted, he's tall, but that boy cannot wrestle. He gets hooks on me. He's not getting a twister. It will not happen.
What is your favorite fight of your own?
My favorite fight? It's a tie. I used to say the semifinals fight on the Ultimate Fighter against Alon. But, as of late, I'd probably say either my Darius Estelle fight or my Jacob Bone fight. Just because the Darius fight, it was kind of like my comeback fight after a year off. A lot of people were sleeping on me. And, a lot of people were hating on me because during fight week, I was just like, oh, no, I got this in the bag. Like, Darius is good, but, like, you have no idea what I've been doing at AKA. And people thought I was just being cocky, coming off 2 losses, fighting a good guy. And I kind of went out there and did exactly what I said. And then the Bond fight, because I faced so much adversity throughout fight camp, and then, the way I felt on fight night wasn't the greatest. And then just having to fight that out of my own style. I don't normally go out there and brawl, but I went out there and brawled for 3.5 rounds and ended up putting them away. I think I gained a lot of respect from a lot of people there that night.
Awesome. So we recently had 2.5 New England fighters on Dana White's Contender Series. We got Billy Goff and Matthew Connors. Connors? Is this the right name?
Connor Matthews.
Connor Matthews. There we go.
I do that all the time.
And then we had Darius Flowers. He's not from New England, but he's from New England. He had that tombstone yesterday.
Yep.
Would you want to be in the Contender Series?
It's usually never my first choice, just because it's an odd situation of you can go out there and have the fight of your life and win, and for whatever reason, it just might not be your night. You might not get a contract, but I'm certainly not going to say no. If the UFC was ever to come to the Garden and they were like, we're trying to pick up local guys, that would be my go-to. But, if I won this fight and a couple weeks later they said, hey, somebody just pulled out, you want to jump on the Contender Series? Hell yeah, I'd jump on there.
So I'm talking with Trevor tonight. Do you have a message for him?
Bring your A game. It's going to be a good fight. Keep underestimating me. I'll see you there.
And final question. If you could talk to yourself from 2016, right when you went pro, what would your message be?
Keep working hard. It's going to work out.
Is there anyone you want to thank? Plug your socials, anything you want to do?
Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. I just want to say thank you to everybody that bought tickets, anybody that's buying shirts. If you didn't even buy them from me and you're going to the fights, I appreciate you going and supporting all the other fighters. Two Fight Bros, BIB Technologies, Cage Titans with Chris. I appreciate all you guys sponsoring me this fight. Ready to put on a show.
All right. Thank you for your time, Joe.
Thank you. I'll catch you later.
All right. See ya.
See ya.